Why, hello and welcome to our Thursday rendezvous. Each week, I'm going to be talking to experts in the renovation, property, and design worlds, and I'm going to be asking the questions that you've been dying to ask. These are just short chats with the experts, bringing you the 411 in a way that we can all understand. So we're going to break it down for you. Strap in. Here we go. Hi guys, today I am joined by Matt John, who is a senior property consultant and auctioneer at Biggin & Scott in Inner West, and just an all-round good guy. I am ready to get pretty juicy with Matt today. He's been given somewhat of a heads up that I'd like to talk about why people don't like him. Well, not just him. Everyone should like Matt, but why don't people like real estate agents? I want to unpack that with you, Matt. So thanks for willing to get into the hot seat today.
No worries. No, thanks for having me. And yeah, gee, if we had an hour and a half, I could probably go through why people don't like me. But I'll just talk general for the day to make it a bit quicker and easier. So
perfect. Thanks for that. All right. So look, I want to make sure that we do cover off in this chat how to spot a good one like Matt. So it's not all bad news, but let's just jump straight into it, Matt, and talk about why do real estate agents have such a bad reputation?
it's a good question. I did obviously you informed me with some questions that would be coming on today, so I had a little bit of a think about it, and I think personally, it's selling your home is probably one of the most emotional and stressful times of your life. So I think everything is amplified in that situation. And it is really hard to find good agents, because it's not, you can't just be a transactional person. You need to be able to be good at dealing with people from a buyer and seller point of view, help guide people through this stage of their lives, which is really, really challenging. So I think it's, there's a lot of things that can go wrong that can give people, a bad feeling or a bad memory about it. And then the age-old saying as well is, if you have a good experience, you tell 2 or 3. If you have a bad one, you tell 10. So anyone who's had a bad experience with a real estate agent, plenty of people hear about it, and there's plenty of horror stories, but not as many of the good ones. So I think that's why it's a little bit more tilted that way, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's so true. And what, in your opinion, sets a good agent apart?
I think, trust is probably the one thing that we hear when we speak to owners about what they're looking for with the agent that they're going to work with. And trust is something that comes up all the time. So I think trust and transparency are probably the big things. And that is what you will find in a good agent. You'll find people that are trustworthy. They're going to give you their honest feedback, their honest opinions. They're going to be very transparent with the process. And at the end of the day, they're going to do everything they possibly can to help the vendor get the best result. That's that too. So the difference between, getting a deal done and then just doing that little bit of extra work to get that bit more is the difference between an agent that just wants to move on to the next one and an agent that truly wants to get the best result for the owner.
Yeah, perfect. Let's go into that a little bit more, actually, around vendor selection. And, vendors are keen to cover in this chat from the vendor perspective, working with agents, and also the buyer interaction with agents, because I know particularly on that one, there's a lot of questions I often get around how do I talk to them, what do I disclose, how do I play my cards, basically, with an agent. So, but let's go through the kind of key things for vendors to consider in selecting the right agent. So, what should vendors be looking for when they're meeting with a potential agent to represent them? What are the key questions you think that they should be asking, really, to get a sense of whether it's the right fit for them?
Yeah, it's a fantastic question, because that's how do you distinguish between, a good agent and maybe one that's not so good? So I guess, the straight up things you're always going to look at is, their track record. So what have they sold in the area? Are they a prominent agent? Do they have the experience with selling multiple properties, around obviously your price point, but also different price points too. So they've got access to a range of different buyers, upsizes, downsizes, all that kind of stuff. Getting some feedback on how the campaign will work and how the process will work, and who they will be dealing with and who they'll be communicating with. So what I mean by that is, a lot of the times the agent you meet is not necessarily the agent that'll be taking buyers through or emailing you or speaking to you as well. So working out who's actually you're going to be dealing with, and just getting some clarification around the kind of process in terms of communication. So when will you speak to them? When we get feedback from buyers that have come through, how will the offers be presented and all that kind of stuff. And then things like their method of sale. So, do they do auctions, private sales? What do they recommend? So, I mean, first and foremost is just getting a good feel, obviously, from the agent and feeling like, there's going to be a lot of communication throughout what could be a 2, 3, 4, 6, 8 week period. That's on the market, let alone sometimes it's a month or two before your launch as well. So you want to make sure you've got a good feel for them because you're going to be dealing with them quite a lot. And then just ticking off on kind of those main things. A really good one as well is to ask the agent if you can get either the contact details or reviews from their past 3 clients. So find out people that have actually spoken to them, worked with them previously, and get their feedback, because that's the only way you're going to know. It's always a challenge to choose the right one, but the people that have dealt with the agent and worked with them previously are going to have the best feedback in terms of their experience as well.
Awesome advice. The same advice I give for people trying to select a builder on a renovation. Just understand the experience and first-hand experience from other people that have worked with them. So brilliant advice. Agent fees. So how you get paid, how all that works. How does that work for people that haven't sold before in terms of the fee approach? And what do you suggest people should expect to see in terms of an agent's fee?
Definitely, it's probably one of the main questions we get asked. It's a big thing in terms of selling the property, and that's it. Everyone wants to know what's going to be in their pocket at the end of the day. So I guess, for people that haven't gone through the process, the general way in terms of how fees are done is by a percentage fee. So basically it's a percentage of the sale price is what goes to the agent or the agency. And that is determined. It's always negotiable as well. So there's no, there's no fixed sort of fee. It does vary across each agency as well. I guess as an example, it's probably going to be between sort of 1% or 2.5% of the sale price. So, for argument's sake, if you're selling $1 million property and the fees, 1.5%, it's going to be 15 grand fee for the sale of $1 million home. The beauty of how that process works is obviously as an agent, we don't get paid unless the property sells. So if the property doesn't sell, there's no, unless there's advertising costs or marketing costs, which are generally separate, there's no fee or cost, with using an agent or engaging an agent to sell the property. So obviously it incentivizes us to get a really good price because we get more at the end of the day, and obviously the vendors get more as well.
So you'll get your payment for your service at the end of the campaign once the home's sold.
Correct. Yeah. So usually it comes out of the buyer's deposit. So if you're selling $1 million home, 10% deposits, the buyer puts that 100 grand down, and then basically the fee at settlement will come out of the deposit, and the remainder gets transferred to the owner. So it's never a fee that they have to pay up front. It's never paid out of their pocket. The idea is that we will secure the deposit for them once the property's sold into a trust account, and then once it settles, that's when the fee will come out.
Oh, that's such an important piece to cover, because the people just don't know when money's going in and how it all works and when it's released and all that sort of thing. So it's good to cover that off. But upfront costs around marketing and advertising expenses, is that something that a vendor would need to be paying upfront?
Depends on the, I guess, the pricing and the sort of process as well. So some agents will do an upfront payment, some will do a part payment, some will do the marketing will actually come out of the deposit as well, like the agent's fee at settlement or after the sale too. So usually a good agent will have a few options there that you can discuss to find the best one for each individual.
Perfect. Thanks for that. From a buyer's perspective, what are some of your tips for buyers building a good relationship with a listing agent?
Very good question.
They're all good, Matt. They're all good questions.
I know. I sound a bit like a politician with a little pause at the start. So yes, very good question. But no, it is. I don't think there's any secret sort of insight. I think the main thing is just be easy to deal with, be honest. This whole chat is about agents having a bad reputation, but I think you've got to give, especially the good ones, the benefit of the doubt. So be open and honest. We're here to help at the end of the day. It takes 2 people to form a transaction. I can't sell someone's house to no one. So if I don't have a good relationship with buyers, it's going to make it very difficult. So I guess things like being punctual at the moment, because obviously we're doing, one-on-one private inspections. So the market's a little bit different now compared to, the glory days of a half an hour open home on a Saturday, which hopefully aren't too far away. But being punctual, being open and honest, and giving good feedback as well. That's one thing that I really appreciate with buyers. If you're active in the market and an agent's taking you through 3 or 4 homes, give them really good feedback. If it doesn't suit, let us know why, because that's really helpful for us in terms of helping the vendor, but also getting a good idea of what you're looking for and what may suit with the next one that we can help with.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's key as well. Some people aren't comfortable sharing their budget, but they can provide some guidance to an agent around what they're looking for based on that feedback. So it doesn't always have to be around how much you're willing to spend, but just how much work you're willing to put into a home, or whether you're looking for an additional bedroom, but you're building in a buffer around that. I think that's really key, because, I don't know whether there is a direct answer to this, but how do people talk to agents about how much money they're willing to spend?
Again, it's a very, it's a tricky kind of question. A lot of people become very closed off with that. And look, I can't speak for everyone, but personally, like I've bought and sold before, and when I've purchased, I've been pretty open and honest with what I'm looking to spend. And I think at the end of the day, if your budget's 700,000 and you're looking at a property that's 6 to 660, and the agent knows your budget's 700,000, there's no reason that you have to pay 700,000 for that property. It's a bit of a myth that we're going to go, okay, great, we're going to make you pay the top of your budget every time. Every property is different, but I guess it's more, excuse me, for me, understanding what people are looking for, because if I've got a property that I know the vendors are not going to take anything less than 700 and someone's told me their budget's 650, if it's an off market or something like that, we might not have the opportunity, to take you through. So be open and honest, let us know, because we want to help. At the end of the day, if we know your budget and you put an offer on a property and you don't want to pay more, you don't have to. We can't make you pay more than you think a property is worth. But it just makes our job easier in finding the right options for people.
Definitely. Absolutely. Yeah. I think people feel like it's going to be a bit of a game of cat and mouse, but it doesn't have to be that way. So your
budget can be anything, and it doesn't necessarily mean that a property is worth that. So your budget can be 2 mil, excuse me, but you could be buying something for 500,000. So just because your budget's more doesn't mean the property is worth more. So at the end of the day, obviously we just want to get a fair result for the vendors. We don't want people to overpay and be really uncomfortable and have a terrible experience. We just want to get the best price for the owner and to have a happy buyer.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, really well said. Another concern I hear all the time about that sort of skepticism around real estate agents is that they'll sell you anything, like just classic sales space. You'll happily sell someone a shit house, but I know that's not the truth for the most part. But is there any requirements for you to be disclosing why a home is being sold, and any caveats around risks, buyer beware type risks, I suppose?
Yeah, I was about to say it's a great question again, because it is, but it's something that people bring up a lot, and I think for the most part, most owners don't want to sell a property that's got issues with it, and I guess it comes down, I think especially if you're dealing with a good agent, you generally find good agents are going to be dealing most of the time with good vendors, and good people. And, we've had times before where a buyer's got a building inspection done on a property and there's been issues that have come up and the owners have been mortified and they've said, let's fix it straight away and let's get it done. So most people are like that. No one's trying to sell, a lemon. And I guess real estate agents probably go hand in hand with the old car salesmen of the 80s and 90s, but with the same sort of reputation. But it's very, very rarely like that. Majority of the time, people just want to make sure the place is good and ready to sell, because, as I said, the selling process is very emotional. People don't want to drag it out by having issues with properties and stuff like that. I personally don't have an issue with people asking why a vendor is selling. I think if you're asking for the right reasons, and what I mean by that is, you want to know if they've outgrown the property. So if you're looking at buying your first family home, the owners bought it 4 years ago and they're selling, is it because they just found that they didn't have enough space, or there weren't enough schools in the area, or something like that. That's a pretty relevant concern. But I think people asking why they're selling because they want to know if there's been a separation or a death in the family, so they can put in an offer 100 grand below the range to try and get a bargain. That's not really the right way to go about it. So I'll generally just disclose information that I can to buyers, if the owners are upsizing or downsizing, whatever the case may be. If there's any personal situations going on there that they're not comfortable with people knowing, then obviously we're not going to disclose that. But as I said, I think if people are asking for the right reasons, there's no harm in asking, because sometimes you might find some information that that'll help you make the decision.
Again, it goes back to buyers being comfortable and willing to try and build that positive relationship with a selling agent, so that you can give yourself the best position of position your best to be able to have that frank conversation. So that's brilliant. And just to finish off, so this series is all about questions to ask that you might be afraid to ask, but I want to flip it around a little bit to get your advice on whether there are questions that buyers shouldn't be asking an agent that could completely backfire on them. So like you said, they shouldn't be asking questions if it's coming from the wrong place. But if there's any hot tips you have on things that people should stay away from talking about.
Nothing particular in terms of a question to just totally avoid. Again, I think if you're a good agent and people are asking, fair questions because they're genuine, they're interested, that there's never a bad question. I guess, again, it just comes down to being open and honest. At the end of the day, we're just people, we're just trying to do a job as well. We're just trying to help, owners sell their properties and buyers buy. So there's a lot of, misconceptions around playing games and all that kind of stuff as well. So just try and avoid that as much as possible, because that's what we try to do as well. We want to avoid it. So, if you're in a position that you can buy, come through and you can make an offer, don't say you're going to make an offer at a certain level, and don't tell an agent that you're ready to buy to get through a property, within an hour, and then come through and you're not ready to buy. So just be open. We want to help either way, but sometimes buyers can shoot themselves in the foot by being really difficult to deal with, being very dishonest about, if they're prepared to buy or their budget or anything like that. And then, as I said, we know that, like, obviously if we're dealing with someone for a long period of time, it's a very small area in the inner west, as you know quite well. So if you do the wrong thing to an agent or treat them poorly, they may remember that when you come and look at another property 2 or 3 months later, that you've lied to them, or you've really put a vendor out that's made it difficult for them. So again, just we try to be the easiest agents to deal with, for everyone that we're dealing with. So the more you can do that from a buyer's point of view, the more enjoyable experience it'll be for an agent, and they'll want to help you as much as possible.
Yeah, that's so well said. Thank you so much. Great advice, really practical, and appreciate you being willing to answer the upfront question about why people don't like you. That's a bit of I wouldn't say that's a carrot to get you in.
I've changed one person's mind, but
no, absolutely.
It's a fair look. Some really good questions, and I think things have changed a lot in the last 10, 15, 20 years from when the salesman kind of got their reputation. So hopefully people that are out and about at the moment realise that they're a bit better this day and age.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. All right. Awesome. Better get back out there. You've got a long list of one-on-one inspections, no doubt.
That's it. Got to go play some games with some buyers.
Crazy times. All right. Thanks, Matt.
Thanks, Lauren.
Okay.
Cheers.
See ya. Bye.
Bye-bye.